particularly important to me as the project developed. I would not manufacture a narrative. I wasn't looking for people who would simply tell me the story I wanted to hear. I didn't interview people with the intention of proving that Africa was wonderful. Nor did I want to create another publication that presented the continent only through its problems. If someone had experienced something difficult, I wanted them to be able to talk about it. If someone told me about poverty, crime, corruption, political difficulties, loss, wildlife poaching, or other painful realities, those experiences belonged in the project too. I never changed someone's words to make their story fit a particular narrative. I didn't remove something because I thought it might make Africa look bad. I didn't rewrite people's experiences to make them more positive. And I didn't selectively edit their stories to support an argument I had already decided upon. That was never the purpose, because Africa is not one story. Yes, terrible things happen across the continent. There is crime, there is corruption, there is poverty, there is poaching, there are political and social challenges, there are enormous difficulties facing communities, wildlife, and ecosystems. But those things are not the entirety of Africa. There is also extraordinary beauty. There are people doing extraordinary things. There are rangers risking their lives to protect wildlife, conservationists dedicating their lives to threatened species, researchers and veterinarians working to preserve ecosystems, guides carrying generations of knowledge about the land, communities protecting their heritage and creating opportunities for future generations, people fighting tirelessly for wildlife, people building businesses, raising families, traveling, creating, exploring, and simply living their lives. There is humor, there is resilience, there is friendship, there is culture, there is adventure, there's generosity, there is hope. And there are countless people whose lives have been transformed by their experiences on the continent. I wanted all of that to exist within the same project. I didn't want to tell people what to think about Africa. I wanted to give them enough real voices and experiences to form their own understanding. That meant allowing the contributors to tell their stories honestly and allowing the collection itself to become the narrative. Some stories are uplifting, some stories are challenging, some are adventurous, some are heartbreaking, some are about wildlife and conservation, some are about culture and identity, some are about childhood, some are about careers and life's work, some are about discovering Africa for the first time, and some are simply about falling in love with a place that changes the way you see the world. And that diversity was never something I needed to correct. It was the point. I wanted to show a human Africa, not a perfect Africa, not a broken Africa, but an Africa that is complicated, beautiful, challenging, inspiring, imperfect, and real. Because acknowledging the difficult things does not diminish the beauty. It makes the beauty more meaningful. As the project grew, I discovered that interviewing people and collecting stories was only the beginning. There was an enormous amount happening behind the scenes that would never be visible to someone holding the finished book. I was dealing with contributors from different countries and professional backgrounds. I was requesting photographs and other material. I was navigating copyright and intellectual property, and I was obtaining permissions and putting agreements in place. I was learning about the legal responsibilities involved in using other people's words, images, and creative work. As the profile of some of the contributors grew, so did the level of professionalism required. At different stages, I found myself communicating not only with contributors themselves, but with agents, representatives, and lawyers acting on their behalf. There were permissions to obtain, intellectual property to protect, contracts to navigate, and agreements to establish. Every new stage brought something new I had never dealt with before. So I learned. I researched, I asked questions, I sought advice, I worked through problems, then I moved on to the next one. In many ways, I was building the project while simultaneously learning how to build it. There was no large publishing team behind me, no production department, no established organization with a system already in place to help me. There was just me, a growing network of people who believed in what I was trying to create, and an idea that continued to become bigger every time I thought I had reached its limits. And that became one of the most rewarding parts of the entire experience. I didn't begin the project knowing how to do all of this. I learned because the project demanded that I learn.